What we're gonna do right here is go back.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is for all you lovers out there.
History is gonna change. Legs in the back. Daddy-o, daddy-o. Time machine. Come on now, party you. Come on now, party you. Come on now, party you. Dance, dance. Dance, dance. Dance, dance. Dance, dance.
We're sending you back to the future. Back, back. Stand up. We're sending you back, sending you back.
Oh, won't you make like a tree?
Come on now, party you. 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 Just never would have met your father. Never would have. Planets down to Earth, down to Earth, down to Earth. What if they read my stories? What if they won't let you pa? Planets down to Earth, down to Earth, down to Earth. What if they read my stories? What if they won't let you pa?
la 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 la. It begins on a dark night. Look at this. You're not gonna find another girl like her in a million years.
It's all so magical.
I've never
Fun, starry ride that fast someday, boo.
and does the same. Never done it. I've never
Fun, starry ride that fast someday, boo. Do you trust me? Say to me,
Have my life.
wonderful
time in my you should salam.
father and does the same.
Say to me,
Have my life.
Wonderful
Jasmine, you should salam.
father and does the same.
I'm going to free the genie.
I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
You should.
I ran away, and I am not going back.
Let's make some magic!
Husband, you your father. Husband, Jasmine, your father. Husband, your father. Husband, Jasmine, your father. There's this girl.
I've never
Fun, starry ride that fast someday, boo.
and does the same.
There's no time in my life without you.
I've never
Fun, starry ride that fast someday, boo.
and does the same.
I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
You should.
I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
Oh my. It's mine. It's death.
Ja hat jetzt vertocket, da merklich. Ja hat jetzt vertocket, da merklich.
It's mine. It's death.
It's all so magical. What are you doing?
Just play along. Husband, your father. Husband, Jasmine, your father. Husband, your father. Husband, Jasmine, your father. Say to me,
Have my life.
Wonderful
time in my you should salam.
father and does the same.
Say to me,
Have my life.
Wonderful
time in my you should salam.
father and does the same. Never done it. I've never
Fun, starry ride that fast someday, boo.
and does the same. Never done it. I've never
Fun, starry ride that fast someday, boo.
and does the same.
Chase.
Wondrous place for you and
Me! That's who!
Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.
like you.
fancy seeing you again. I can see through your camera because you don't have ExpressVPN. Thank you so much for Mug Club Quarantine and the support. Glad to be back and happy to announce the winner is Tim A. from Des Moines, Iowa. You are the winner of a grand prize. We will fly you and a friend out to the studio here in the great state of Texas to sit in our live studio audience, be featured in a sketch, unless you have some kind of a contagious virus, in which case we will send you a fruit basket. So thank you so much for the support. Everyone else, enjoy the show.
Listen up, kids. QBG talking to you. Now, while you're outside playing with your friends, it's always smart to stay safe. Don't talk to strangers. Also, you need to keep your eye out for the strange Chinaman.
What's a Chinaman?
I'll show you. This is an artist's rendition of a Chinaman. Whoa. Yep, that's right. Chinaman may have done a damn good job on the train roads, but some of them are dangerous. One of them even tried to litigate me once. Almost took all Mr. QBG's gold chains, but I was able to obfuscate the law. That's right. So if you see a strange Chinaman in your neighborhood, tell your parents, and don't come within 6 feet of them. All right, that's enough. Now don't be no fool. Stay away from the Wu flu. Okay, sir, you're gonna be all right. We have help on the way. Where are you?
I think I'm okay. I just want to get out of here, you know?
Okay, what, is anything broken?
My leg is stuck, but it's not really like...
No, that's not gonna work. I said no journey, no journey. Don't worry about it. We're gonna be here. We're staying right here with you, okay? So just listen to the sound of my voice. Earth, Wind, and Fire, perfect. That'll work.
All right, are you still there? Can you hear me?
I think I kind of sprained it pretty bad, not gonna lie. But I mean, I can move it, so it's like... Wait, what was that? What's up? Guys?
That's the sound of us being back.
Boom!
And this entire stream could just be the demonetized logo.
It really could.
That's true.
Yes.
So very happy about that. We have the HodgeTwins on the show later on today. And before I go to some announcements, we have some big announcements to make regarding some changes here after the Mug Club Quarantine Month. We appreciate you so much for being with us. Yeah. But that's the kind of the first sketch there, 9/11, that you could never do on SNL. No. Just because people would say you can't touch 9/11, but it's actually honoring the heroes by showing how trivial the non-practicing nurses are using TikTok.
See what you did there.
How many people died because of their choreographed dance?
It's tragic.
It's like, I know you're busy doing the village, people, but I seem to have fluid pockets. So, by the way, half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond is here. How are you, sir?
Great.
Quarter black Garrett is here.
Hey, what's
Mr.
up?
QBG. I don't like it. Audio way. Deal with it. Too cute, Maddie, who disgusts me. You can fit it in your back pocket, but you'll get gout. She's so cute.
So sweet. I didn't think that's how it works.
And then Gerald A. is here today.
Yes.
What's the wine of the day?
Wine of the day is Bodyguard.
Bodyguard.
Yeah.
What's that in the bottle?
It's wine. What do you mean?
Hold on, no, what's that? What's that
on the bottle?
label?
Yeah. Here, I can show you a little bit. I don't know.
Wow.
It's like a Bodyguard.
Wow. Yeah. Turn it around there, Gerald A.
Yeah.
No, Gerald A. He still doesn't. He has no idea what is happening right now.
He missed it.
Read the. No, you don't. Okay, hold on.
Yeah. You know what? I appreciate that.
For crying out loud. Crap! You wrote on this bottle.
Jerks.
Now he gets
He
it.
even ruins practical jokes on him.
I've never seen you
He's the kind of guy who, like, you'd
a
crap in
$300 bottle before.
You'd crap in a popcorn bucket and leave it in the locker over the weekend in college, and you'd be like, I think someone has a problem.
I'm worried.
Yes,
You
you
get
do.
a doctor.
You do.
His ability to diffuse the jokes even directed at him.
amazing.
Teflon Gerald.
Pretty good.
It
Pretty
is
good.
amazing.
It takes practice.
It was like my grandmother operating the VCR with a giant blue button.
What?
Which one?
Okay,
Jose.
so obviously we already announced the winner who's going to come out here live with
Yeah.
us. But listen, we got a lot of feedback from folks. Really liked Good Morning Mug Club. People saying, well, we don't want this to stop because we like doing this with our morning commute and we like watching it live in the morning. So new schedule. Thursday is still going to be the same, and we are going to be doing Good Morning Mug Club going forward Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the same big ass show live on Thursday.
Boom.
Yeah,
Nice. That's
so
gonna be awesome.
and we're still going to do some Ash Wednesdays, and we're still going to do some life advice. So add those. So more content, and we'll be with you. We'll be streaming live every weekday
gonna
morning,
be
except
fun.
from Thursday at 9 a.m. Central, so 10 a.m. Eastern. Ooh. I'm not good at math.
It works.
tough.
The math works.
You're not good at reading a clock.
90%
Okay.
accurate.
No, I like
so-
to see you. It accentuates my superiority.
Yes.
Like me with height. Just
bring that
Or with ass girth.
Yes,
you know
as well. Yes.
I'm putting that in your permanent record for when my people take over the planet. Thank you.
Well, we'll see. Maybe
people.
I think it'll be 93% if we use their death rates. I don't know. We'll ask the crematoriumists. So also we will be in we'll be in the Lansing Capitol in Michigan, by the way, next Friday. That's the 22nd, doing a live, peaceful, respectful protest. Details to follow. So follow me on Instagram, Louder with Crowder, or on Twitter at @SCrowder. Of course, we're going to be practicing proper social distancing, so use your masks. We are not there to break the law. Also, hint, bring your full head of hair. So, question of the day. And there are Lansing cops
There
just
are.
aching to put me in jail.
Waiting for you.
Have you noticed that climate change activists now they're trying to co-opt the coronavirus for their own filthy means, their own wet market means. So I want to know if you notice that right now, and I think a lot of people do, but I guess it should be to what degree you think that a pandemic justifies a global government takeover.
50,000 degrees.
What?
No, I don't know what that means.
No.
He just says things.
But hey,
I'm excited to talk about this topic.
But that's a perfect segue, because you're Chinese, and monkeys in your country are apparently bandit assholes.
Oh my god!
Hey! Look at the speed! Look at the speed! Whoa!
Wait. He's not worried at all. Look at him.
That clip, that acceleration, that's just 0 to Mowgli right away.
That is.
And she's fine.
She's fine. Yeah,
Nobody
she
was
totally
worried. They were just like,
the baby just gets up like, no, monkey grabbing.
It happens every day.
I mean, that's your
It's a Tuesday.
your average white suburban mom would see an Asian kid. Like, oh, so cute.
Part and parcel of living in the alley. What I love too is
true.
the mother.
Her house.
The mother doesn't do anything to protect her child.
No.
Like you would
Like,
think.
well,
the instinct,
not at all.
monkey got her.
Everything we learn about mothers is like to throw yourself like, oh my god, it's a monkey. But the mom goes, ah, and then the monkey starts dragging. So it would be excusable.
Yeah.
Can we play that again? Can we play it again? I want you guys to watch the reaction here. Here, let's play it. Okay, look, monkey comes in so she can see it. Watch. Oh no!
Yeah.
And then she goes away. She goes away.
Wait.
Yeah.
The kid walks back. Like, come on, mom.
Yeah. She's not lifting up a car.
Come on, mom.
No way.
No
You're gonna
adrenaline
hang
in
me
there.
out to dry like this? So strong and so fast.
That's
I mean,
Where did that
when-
monkey get the motorcycle, by the way?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Incredible.
I have no idea. Not all cultures are equal. So, before we move on, by the way, I should say we've gotten a new sponsor, Barbie Sparker Glasses. Really excited about the product. Glad to have them on. So keep an eye out for the Barbie Sparker commercial in the first
gonna be
commercial
great.
break.
We're proud of it.
While we weren't off. We've taped so many sketches, so many intros, so we have a lot of content. We had to update all the software here. But while we were gone, this was a story. Canadian police arrested someone at gunpoint, a citizen at gunpoint, who was dressed in a Star Wars Stormtrooper costume, complete with a replica laser blaster, because they thought she had a real gun. This comes from Lethbridge News. 911 reported 2 calls from people who saw the girl brandishing a plastic toy blaster. They believed it was real, and we've actually obtained exclusive footage. Should warn you, the following content, the following altercation footage of the police officers and the citizen in question is disturbing.
What is this?
That's not mine.
Wow.
What's a 9/11 intro sketch without a Rodney King parody?
Yeah, you got to hit all the marks.
You really, really do.
Nobody's
how much
done
harder?
it.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how much harder is your job after today?
Oh, man.
I'm just thinking about the second house I'm going to buy now.
I can't believe nobody's done it before.
Yeah, it's been sitting out
I
for
thought
some
for
time.
sure we'd be retreading new ground. Nope. Call us Copernicus. So the female employee was actually, so she was out in full costume, by the way. I want to make sure they follow up because we jest, but this is serious.
Of course. Yes.
And the police didn't recognize the costume. They said that they believed her to be a member of a militant anti-government militia. Yes, because militiamen dress in white plastic.
It's a strange militia.
From head to toe.
What the heck?
Militia of nerds.
Oh my gosh.
They're kind
How
of
is
like
it possible
militia.
they didn't see Star
We're the
Wars?
Lucas keepers. So,
Wait, were they like Star Trek fans? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't understand, but how would you have not seen any part of that? I mean, was there any explanation beyond it?
no, not much.
No.
Honestly,
you're
there may have
asking
been-
for too much from
There may have
Canada,
been, but immediately my mind went to Rodney King, so that's really all I cared about.
No further research.
But we will be talking about the UN and Greta Thunberg, so that'll be more informative. Switching, actually, the latest, of course, COVID-19 news. I thought we would be done with this by the time we're
Almost.
through the month, but it's no. Did you know it's no longer about flat? You thought it was about flattening the curve.
Oh, no?
It's about Bill Gates making a vaccine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
So take your unemployment and Windows 98. So the latest COVID-19 is that the virus has apparently, I don't like saying this, but it's been detected in semen now. This comes from Rolling Stone. The study assessed semen samples from 38 patients, found detectable levels, viral loads in the semen. So this is
Viral
actually,
loads.
yeah, this has led the World Health Organization, the CDC, and leading health officials to chip off San Francisco with an ice pick and push it off into the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's about time. Sad that it took this.
I don't know. I thought it tasted a little off. California. That's not me.
That was a character.
It's a quote. It's not a
No.
character. It's a quote.
No.
Don't indict me.
I'm
It's a
so
quote.
sorry. I'm sorry.
It's a quote.
Disgusting.
It's not a
That was my
Hey,
The
you're
other
not-
person that said that,
don't-
not you.
You don't need to quote Gerald while he's here.
You did the mouth smack. Ugh.
He could just say it himself.
I hate you, Bill.
All right. In California, speaking of which, the state, they ruled that Elon Musk and Grimes' child, they cannot legally be named. Is this XAEA12?
Yeah.
Don't forget the dash.
Ash Arch.
Dash 12. So they're going to have to choose a new name. So they said they'll either name the child after the mother and call it Claire, or after the father and name it Ugly Bastard. So that's the choice. Yeah, it would have worked if I pronounced
Options.
father.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not okay.
Faza.
Father.
The Faza.
Like that would have saved it. Yeah.
I'm operating at a handicap because I have the bird flu. I always get
other
the
one.
wrong one.
Yes.
It's like everyone else is on Jaws 3. I'm still like, when you thought it was safe to go back into the water. That was the other one. We're in 3D with Michael Caine.
You always get the wrong viruses.
I don't know.
I'll give you SARS-3 now if you want it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the thing.
He's already got it.
They're always ahead of the curve.
They are, yeah.
A lot of people say that the Asians.
You're out here flattening number 2, and I'm already on number 3.
I appreciate that, I bet you,
Thank
because
you.
a lot of people say that the Chinese are only good at taking technology that we develop and then
Right.
steal it. But the fact is, they are the ones, when it comes to creating new viruses, they're like the Thomas Edison.
Yes.
Hey,
they are.
I've been to kindergarten. I know how to share.
Do you?
They are creators, Stephen. Creators.
Also, you're a communist. So finally,
It's caring.
Governor Whitmer. This is something that's been people have been upset about. I don't want to say upset, but there's been a huge reaction. I understand that we have to have signers for people who are obviously hearing impaired. But there's been a reaction to this because now it is just the signing is distracting and it's gotten out of hand.
I know that this has been a hard time for people trying to make ends meet when everything's essentially shut down, and especially for small business owners who've built up something over the course of decades, and they're worried.
No, that's not a sketch.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
real.
not
That's
earnest.
real.
Yeah.
That is absolutely 100%
Look at the eyebrows on that
real.
lady.
And lady.
Oh, yeah. That's generous.
There was a little bit of internal debate until we paused it. Well, okay,
Further discussion,
hands that could crack a lobster. So,
They were like polar bear paws, man. They were
Yeah,
huge.
that was- yeah.
They were rather large.
The contrast,
Okay, I'll give you that.
I
Yeah.
mean, for seeing the hands, like that was the best visual contrast.
It's just horror. It's the
distracting.
stuff that gives children nightmares. So here's the thing. I understand the criticism. People have been saying this is a little bit distracting. But I think a lot of people, since this is sort of a local politician who's been thrust into the national spotlight, you're not aware of this. If you know her history, it's actually a serious improvement.
Each of the actions that we've taken, though, has been because of the incredible threat that COVID-19 has presented to our state. The number of lives lost, the incredible spread. In Shiawassee County, which is where this barber's shop is, we have 196 confirmed cases of COVID-19 right now. We've had 13 deaths in that county alone. And the protections and the work that we've done is to protect.
They don't have Carrot Top on the payroll.
I
But
really
she's
like,
getting better.
You know,
She
I like the
is.
fact that the celebrities are out there. You know, like Dave Grohl doing signing. I mean, that's amazing.
Is he doing signing?
Yeah. Man, you look like Dave Grohl on there with that.
It was a
face
little
mask.
bit
I had no idea. Dave Grohl.
Oh my gosh.
I missed it. I'm sorry. Call me Gerald A.
Yeah, kind of like I missed the penis. Yeah.
I didn't quite have a giant big penis drawn on the page in front of me and look right past it.
It was turning
which
away-
also just
away
tells
from
us
me.
that it's so commonplace for you to see large, hairy penises that you don't even notice them.
I didn't see it.
It's like for him. It's like missing Waldo.
He's
It's just
never
another
there.
place. It's just another candy cane forest.
Hidden.
Waldo's never there.
Gosh. If Waldo's face were on a milk carton, it would be exclusively on like peppermint milk. I don't know why he makes it so hard for everyone to find him, Waldo.
Jerk.
Change the outfit.
Every once in a while.
Okay. So, and this is, I do want to move on. So this is actually, I think, going on it might be going on at the same time right now, the CNN climate town hall.
yeah. Oh, boy.
We don't have the hookups right now.
good
We're,
stuff.
again, moving some stuff around the set, so we're going to have CNN, of course, for Good Morning Mug Club. But here's the thing. We can't show it right now, but I can pretty much guess how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So let me fill you in, and no flipping. So it's a CNN town hall, and this is actually, it's going to have former acting CDC director Richard Besser, former HHS secretary Kathleen Sebelius, and activist Greta Thunberg.
What?
They joined Anderson Cooper and Dr. Sanjay Gupta for a live CNN town hall.
About the coronavirus.
About the coronavirus.
One of these things does not look like the other.
Yeah. What happened to the experts?
Experts.
We have the head of the CDC. We have a neurosurgeon, and we have an autistic girl who yells, "How dare you!"
I think she's perfect for the panel.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing
Really
that's
rounds it
more
out,
important
yeah.
right now, according to the media, than shaming everyone for everything that they do.
Right.
And she's
yeah.
really good at it.
She's
Shamer-
very
She
good.
actually
I love
raises
it.
the intelligence.
I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying you got to respect her shame level.
I respect her shame game.
Yeah.
So I do think a couple of facts to kind of hit, and then we'll discuss this a little bit. Of course, the left, they've tried to set this up already. They're attacking anyone who questions the COVID stats. Not even the COVID statistics, but the initial coronavirus statistics that have been proven verifiably
horrible
false. Like the
models,
4 to 7% death rates, the 2 million dead. By the way, super shout out to our wonderful researcher, Reg the Bandit / Reg the Beast,
Yeah.
for calling Neil Ferguson that guy to step
that
down
was
in
great.
shame. Yes. We got him. So they've been trying to frame, of course, everyone who says, you know what, I think we need to reopen the economy. I think we need to balance lives and livelihoods as science deniers, right? And so they're trying to now equate the denial of COVID being, a virus with a 10% death rate, or like Ebola with a 50% death rate. It's all the same people. These people deny science just like climate change. Okay, we'll come back to this in a second. AOC, she even did a video where she was talking about COVID being a test run for how to approach climate change, and she's been saying that the Green New Deal is scientifically necessary. Again, let's go to the experts.
Started with politicians who ignored warnings by scientists. It continued through a program of us knowing that we needed to act quickly and needed to take dramatic action fast in order to contain the damage. But there's so much that's politically vested in making sure that we don't do that, right? For example, this idea, it's like when scientists and epidemiologists started saying, listen, we have to shut down our cities and our states immediately right now, just as an immediate precaution, because we did not take action earlier. The communities that suffer first are the ones that are working class, Black, brown, essential workers that are
Not
most
white people,
vulnerable.
I guess.
You know, all of that parallels with the climate movement. It is scientifically informed. This is scientifically informed legislation. I'm not here to tell you what is politically easy. I'm here to tell you what is scientifically necessary.
Is that a fact, doctor?
I like her use of the very lawyerly word informed, scientifically informed, not scientifically based.
Right.
Not scientifically sourced.
Yeah.
Scientifically informed.
Scientists were near this when it was created, so
They were around.
She would be served well to attend finishing school from LeBron James.
yes.
Anyway, I'm going
helpful.
my duty to inform as I conversate. You are just lovely. Here's the thing, too. I just find it so funny that all of a sudden they call their own experts.
Yeah.
Well, why would you listen to Dr. Bricks? We need to listen to experts. Like AOC.
AOC.
But the short version is that she wants more of this.
Yeah, I love how she just feathers in like, they didn't take the precaution.
This
You
is
mean
working.
shutting down the world? It's a precautionary measure.
Yeah.
It's a precautionary measure. Like, you know what? I think I have the sniffles. Well, as a precautionary measure, we're going to cut off your dick.
Oh.
That seems a little severe. You don't know how
drastic.
bad the cold can get.
Precautions. Gotta get those precautions.
We're well past Robitussin MD. It's
don't-
now time to lose the D.
Don't worry, we'll draw it back on.
Oh, boy.
He just noticed it. So another fact, the World Economic Forum, lest you think I make this up, them trying to inextricably tie this, they're now calling for a flattening of the climate curve.
That's a new curve.
Huh? What? So many curves! It's like Raquel Welch, it's so curvy. Where have we heard this before? Flattening
Craig,
the
yeah.
curve.
It's the curve after the curve.
I'm surprised they're using that now
another
because it's no longer about flattening the COVID curve.
Yeah.
It's about the cure. The curve is irrelevant. We've already flattened the curve. Who gives a rat's ass? According to AOC, we shouldn't come back until every man, woman, and child has a vaccine and microchip from Bill Gates. Another fact, the UN chief used his Earth Day speech to confront Trump on climate change. He was linking it, of course, to coronavirus and saying that it was the bigger threat. And then finally, UC Berkeley, they've hosted a panel. I think I have this here. What's the panel? The panel is environmental and energy experts.
Ooh. Those people.
Like AOC, to discuss the current COVID-19 pandemic, offer lessons on how shared global solutions can help beat back the continued threat of climate change. So a couple of things here, by the way, hit the notification bell. If you're subscribed, hit all notifications because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. And just check in every single day here because we do new videos every day. And of course, Crowder Bits. This is remarkable to me. Yeah. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about this because we've heard from the experts. Who's denying science at this point? Yeah. Who is denying science when let's just use the most extreme examples, okay? The most extreme examples humanly possible. The people who said, this is about comparable to the flu, and they were just scoring, like, I can't believe they were taken behind the woodshed. How could you downplay this versus the initial expert who had to resign in shame saying 2 million dead? So let's say it's double the number of right now.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say we're at 150,000 deaths. Flu season, we've had flu seasons with 80,000 deaths versus 2 million. Yeah. It is so much closer to the crazy non-experts who said it's more comparable to the flu that it wouldn't even appear on the same line chart.
Absolutely. And one of the first things that they said was that John Cornyn tweeted out, he said, after this is all done, we need to have a good faith discussion about these models. And that's what they said made him a denier. Right? Because he's like, these models, we need to have a good faith discussion about what's going on here because it said 2 million and now it says nothing close to that. Right. And that's what they really, I can't even ask to have a conversation.
The thing is about that model, we have a new model.
That's how it works.
It's like Victoria's Secret. The shelf life on that, it's pretty short.
Wait, let me guess. This model has more curves.
Yes. So many curves.
It used to be about curves, not flattening them, but having them.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, now we have a new model. And so I wonder when they say we're going to get rid of misinformation on social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Well, hold on a second. Does that include the World Health Organization saying that it couldn't be transmitted from human to human contact? Oh, well, no, we won't remove that because that's what we believed at the time of the information we had. Taiwan saying, have a minute? So, no. But even then...
They sent so many meeting requests. Everyone denied.
Yeah, and why did you believe it? Because of the tweets.
Right.
Because of the
People believed it because of the tweets. What about the tweets out there from the Chinese ambassador who said that it was started by American troops? Well, that was based on the information that we had at that time. Come again, stupid?
Yeah, hold.
You're going to have a problem with Pizzagate, but not the Chinese ambassador saying, it was Marine. You saw Avatar, the ass.
The bad guy. It's so bad.
Why Avatar?
The Marines were bad. They were all former Marines. They were all black ops.
Gerald hasn't seen that movie.
No, I
I did see
guarantee
that
you
movie.
he's seen that movie.
No, he thinks he has. He's just seen Fern Gully in 4K. That's it.
I feel like it's the same. It's pretty close.
And it is remarkable to me how inconsistent it is here. Here's what we said early on. I think, okay, I understand a precautionary measure when we didn't have any data.
Exactly.
Right? We didn't have any information. Okay, you shut down for a little bit, or you take some precautionary measures.
Yeah.
You quarantine the sick and the vulnerable, because that's typically what you do. You quarantine the sick, not the healthy.
Right. Yeah.
That's understandable, especially when we were hearing from China, by the way, in the World Health Organization, that it could be a 7%. Well, of course we want to do that. But now, in the face of overwhelming data, where even leftist governors tell us, okay, it's about a 0.5% death rate at the top end. In the face of data, you are still pushing to ruin people's lives. Why? Well, you know what? Why? Allow us to make our case as we present the experts. Greta, your witness.
Well, that they're using the same term that evidently worked to make people shut down the entire economy makes you realize, oh, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it worked the
They're
first
shifting
time.
to that now.
Okay, well, let's use the same terms that at least are going to have the same results.
Right.
And that's what they're going for.
Yeah, and in the article, it even went back, just going back on that point, said that if the basic thing was saying that people were a climate denier. There's the same people that are saying the COVID thing wasn't the models weren't wrong. It's just that we had stuff happen, like social distancing happened.
Right.
You closed it down, and we're like, wait a minute, no, you factored that in to begin with,
right?
And you said that even with that, this was going to be the case,
right?
So tell me, in the climate thing, what you're going to do. Then you're going to change the model, and then you're going to move the goalpost again, and then you're going to exclude China from the equation, and then we're still all going to.
They've been wrong at nearly every single turn.
Exactly,
I don't want to be Donald Trump, but they've been wrong at every single turn. Everyone.
There has not
there
been
are
one
no
where
exceptions,
they have been
and you're
correct
nasty.
every
You're
single
so
one.
nasty. They were wrong about Georgia.
Yeah.
They're wrong about Georgia, and so they have to move the goalposts now to no longer. The goalposts are no longer. Well, hold on a
They
second.
don't exist.
Everyone's going to die if you open
Yeah.
up your
Yeah.
economy. Because in Texas, guess what? Nowhere near as severe as Michigan. Nowhere near the kind of infections. We have a lot of big cities here in Texas. It's not just some
we do.
small state with podunk towns. We were reasonable in our approach, and I'm not saying that not having any lockdowns is more effective than having lockdowns. I'm saying there is no rhyme or reason to at this point when you look at the statistics outside of the fact that it's dangerous if you're over 80 or have pre-existing comorbidities. That's what we know. The rest we don't. So they said everyone was going to die needlessly in Georgia. Well, Georgia is now beyond the curve.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and they're doing just fine. Like, they're seeing kind of this cliff fall off that we talked about that other
and
nations
I want to
around the
not
world.
just fine, because of course every life matters.
Of course,
yeah. But compared to what they
relative
said,
to the risk that we are used to taking every single day of our lives that maybe we just didn't know that we were taking. Every year we have a flu risk. Every year we have a death by automobile accident risk, or by murder, or by something happening in the hospital when you go in for a procedure that's not supposed to kill you that accidentally does.
Yeah,
and
like
all
Michael
of a sudden,
Myers showing up in the sequel.
Well, that's true.
Gerald raised a really good point. I mean, I know.
Whoa.
But the comparison to reality of how many lives are actually lost and the changes, it's not just about how many more lives have been lost due to COVID, but compared to what our normal death rates would have been, compared to the risk, like you're saying.
Yes, yeah.
And when you actually do that, and you're not just screaming about politics and people saying if you open the economy, you hate every human being.
Right.
It all falls apart.
Well, you had a point you were making before the show, too, that you see this as a push for a global government.
I do. I think that, there was no question that earlier, pre-corona, there was a push for having that type of globalization and interconnectedness and ultimately a level of authority beyond just the UN and Geneva conventions and those types of things. But to say, that the United States and other countries should cede their authority to international governments to control these issues. And that's not to say that it's not better for us to cooperate, but there's a difference between cooperation and ceding authority. Yeah. And here now the push has become even further. Well, we couldn't use Corona to push it because obviously Corona says you need to go the opposite direction. You need to make sure you're independently based. You're not as dependent on foreign powers and global supply chains. But so now they're having to say, well, okay, that's not working, so let's move to the other one. And it's not to say, again, that cooperation isn't important or that there isn't some concern at a global level for the environment. Right. But that doesn't mean that we take the Gran Turismo Greta Thunberg version of going out there and just everyone has to listen to the UN on everything or listen to her on everything.
Not only is she not a scientist, I'm pretty sure she's never made the baking soda lemon juice volcano.
How could she know
science? She couldn't figure that thing out.
Yeah. Or is it lemon juice? Is it vinegar and baking soda? I think either work. We're going to do that next week. That'll be a commercial break.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. I like my bubble
Greta
bath.
making this.
What were you about to say there?
Well, and so one of the other points that they brought up is that the COVID-19 virus is nature's warning. So this is Mother Nature. Literally, it was in the article. It said this is Mother Nature's warning that we have to listen to.
He's back on the Fern Gully.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
He's back to it.
Yes.
But I mean, think about how dumb that sounds. Like climate change is so bad that Mother Nature is saying, well, if they don't listen on this, maybe they'll listen to this virus and they'll get the bigger picture. Like that's what they're saying that
We're
we
gonna
have
have a
to use to. That's a crazy leap. I couldn't even make that leap.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
The
you know
segue
what?
doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I will say? There are a couple of lessons that we've learned from COVID. We have the HodgeTwins coming up after this. They're going to be talking about what's his, I just forgot. Ahmaud. How do you pronounce Ahmaud?
Oh, yeah.
Ahmaud
Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. Is it just Ahmaud because it has a U? And I knew a guy Ahmaud who didn't have a U.
Oh.
I don't want to get it wrong.
Right.
Because that's the most dangerous landmine in covering that topic.
Yeah, pronunciation for sure.
9/11 sketch, Rodney King
Wow.
parody, and the HodgeTwins to discuss Ahmaud Arbery.
It's going to be a good show.
What could go
Epic.
wrong? Just like we've learned this when we're talking about the economy, we've had some lessons that we've learned from this right here. The federal government can't be a charity. This is what they're saying. Well, you know what?
No,
The federal
not at
government
all.
can help right now. A couple of things. That shows you how politicized it is because right now Democrats are saying, well, the Republicans are holding up this new stimulus bill. Hold on a second. Who held up the stimulus bill before we flattened the curve? Remember? You guys wanted to shove everything in there with earmarks.
Kennedy
and God
Center
knows.
funding.
It was the
Holding that
Republicans who
back.
said we need to do this so that we can flatten the curve. Now that we've flattened the curve, and you're talking about another stimulus, which a lot of it can be a big giant kickback to the postal union when you actually look at what they want to do. At this point, we're past the curve. Now you're trying to play politics with it and say Republicans are trying to stop the spending bill. You guys were doing it when we actually needed it. But let's assume for a second when people say, well, there's no choice between making a living right in the economy or staying healthy if the government just does its job. How much money have we spent now?
Trillions.
Trillions.
Many trillions of dollars. More than
Trillions.
more than ever as far as acute spending in the history of the United States. That floated us for a month.
Yeah.
If that.
So how much if you spend more, right? I don't know. Let's call it $20 trillion. Our entire debt clock. 3.5 months. There's not enough money. And by the way, it runs out faster if nobody is working.
Right.
So we've learned that the federal government cannot be a charity. It's not Samaritan's Purse. But you know what else? That businesses it's a self-sustaining charity.
Yeah.
You go to your local coffee shop, you go to your restaurant, that allows them to provide a living, not only for the business owners, but their employees when you are voluntarily offering money for goods or services. And something else that I think is undeniable here while we're talking about the climate change green movement, they want to equate the two, and you know what? So do I. Just like they wanted you to remember coronavirus and Donald Trump's handling of it going into November. Yep, I want you to remember all of it. 2 million dead, 7% death rate. Please do not forget, we've been consistent. I want you to remember when they accuse us of being science deniers because of our position on coronavirus. Here's something interesting to me. This is proven beyond any shadow of a doubt that absolutely positively is being Trump. No exceptions.
Do it. No exceptions.
No exceptions.
No.
How many? I said none.
Did you hear me?
Did you hear me stutter? Do I look like a Costa? That the green movement hates people. Think about this first. I was at a co-op health food store in Michigan. By the way, huge culture of fear in Michigan compared to Texas.
Yeah.
I was walking in to get some yogurt. I have a mask because you have to, otherwise it's illegal. This lady who's my age has a mask, and I'm walking past her to get yogurt, and she stops, panics, and leaps into the next aisle, like, and she just jumps. I'm sitting there going, like, oh my God. And then when I go to check out, they have a big sign like, it is with extreme sadness that we have to inform you, due to the coronavirus, we are not accepting reusable bags at this time. And then when you go to the coffee shop, it is with extreme sadness that we tell you that we are not accepting reusable cups at this time. And then I go to the airport and I go, you know what? Oh, hey, listen, hold on a second. A flushless urinal? How'd you figure that out? By the way, there's no secret to it. Your piss just stays there.
Yep.
It just pools there. Even the sports bars put in ice or peanut shells or some shit. So I go to a flushless urinal. I'm like, well, that's kind of gross. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to go wash my hands and sing happy birthday twice and happy birthday to... and the sink shuts off because it's a green sink. And I can't use paper towels because it's a blow dryer. When it comes down to saving human lives, we have to get rid of the absurdity of the plastic, the reusable bags, which, by the way, are worse for the environment, and the reusable cups. We're not going to do that anymore. What about following the CDC hand washing guidelines? I can't do it. It's not humanly possible. What about the flushless urinals? Hey, no more flushing, no more running water. That's progress. How about I piss my name into a tree? Is that progress?
That's skill.
This is what the left would see when they see the
That's a high
evolution of man
PSA.
going up, and then down to a squatty potty, and then eventually it's made of hemp, and then they're in a hole in the ground.
And
That's
we're in San
progress.
Francisco.
So when we're talking about this, listen, my position, and I think everyone here on climate change is not, there's no such thing as climate change, I don't know the science. No, listen, I think the Earth has warmed. I think that humans may be contributing a significant amount to it. As to whether we'll have catastrophic results, I'm not entirely sure. As to the proposed global legislation that would kill people undeniably, expecting, of course, China to play ball, which they've vocally expressed they will not. No, I don't believe that politically it will make any difference. And as it relates to coronavirus, I believe we were lied to, or at the very least provided misinformation, certainly from China, certainly from experts who said we're going to have 2 million people dead. I believe that we shut down the economy based on statistics that couldn't exactly be observed. You know what is observable? You know what's 100% observable? Joblessness. People not making any money.
That is,
Right? Suicides going
No
up,
food.
alcoholism going up. There's no doubt about that. So when you folks want to say, hey, we deny the experts, by the way, Birx, not an expert. Only Fauci, only Geppetto, and Fantasy Island. I will wear it proudly. Sure, I'm skeptical of the Kyoto Accord. Sorry, now Paris Accord, Paris Protocol, Paris Agreement. I'm skeptical of that. No, it's not Accord. You're wrong. You're Asian. You should know it. I know that's not Chinese, but it was Kyoto. But still, Civic,
Honda.
Oh.
I got a joke.
I don't. Okay, go ahead.
That wasn't a good one.
I was on a roll. Dang it. None of this was good.
I liked your roll, but I'm going to interrupt it. When you talk about whether or not you're going to have climate deniers and you have folks who say they're for the climate and this environmental change, you know what the basics are when you take what they want to a logical extension. You cannot have jobs. Jobs are a thing, the advance of technology, the mining for precious materials to be able to use in the technology that is actually being used to make ventilators or life-saving technology. All of that requires...
Also solar panels.
Yeah, solar panels.
They're not made from sunshine and fleshless urinals.
Exactly. All of those things require a use of the environment. And there's no question that we need to do it in a safe way, but and certainly in a safe way to protect human lives. But without any question, we have to be able to continue this march of progress in a direction that allows for using the environment, whereas the green movement is unquestionably against jobs, against economies, against communities, and against not just our nation, but against any nation.
And but what's so funny to me is they talk about, this global economy, right? That we are all one, we are the world, hold hands and have all the flags and effectively an Amish quilt. But really, when you think about it, okay, you look at the globe and you look at the green movement, and then they have the gall to tell us, well, really the people most affected by environmental pollutants are minorities in the United States. So the people most affected by coronavirus in the United States are black people. Okay, hold on a second. Who's most affected by the Green New Deal? Who's most affected by the Kyoto Protocol, which would skyrocket energy costs, which for us is mildly inconvenient because you drive a crossover, but for someone in Zambia, or honestly, you don't have to go that far, for someone in Mexico, if you can wander out of your Cancun booze cruise resort, they work all week just to get enough fuel so they can heat a can of beans on an old ironing board in a drum. Who do you think is most affected by your green policy? It's inconvenient for us. It kills people in the third world who make $2 a month. So they don't really care about the most vulnerable among us. Certainly, I don't want to say no one cares. I'm saying the policies are not thoughtful of the most vulnerable among us because it is all a sacrifice at the altar of the greater good. What's the greater good? Well, the climate, the earth. It's more important than people. What's the greater good with coronavirus? Well, political expediency. It's more important than people being autonomous and being able to make their own livings. So I'm not going to make any sacrifices at that altar. And as it relates to being anti-science, I'm a climate denier as well as a coronavirus denier, I think you can look at the track record of where we lined up on climate change, where we've lined up on coronavirus, and it's remarkable that we've gotten very little wrong. Honestly, I was speaking from my gut thinking this is going to come back to bite me in the ass. Instead, I look like Nostradamus. So I will wear that badge loudly and proudly. Yep. Call me a science denier, but I'll be sure to check in with Greta after this. Right now, HodgeTwins coming up.
Ooh. This is Franklin. He looks so happy, doesn't he? That's because he's about to be turned into a pair of Barbie Sparker glasses. It's quite a process, but we're here to guide you through it. First, Franklin will be removed from his shell. Then his shell will be crushed into hundreds of tiny pieces. These pieces will then be melted together into a sheet and cut by a large machine into your designer frame of choice. After a final quality check, Franklin is ready to be sent out to you, the customer. Wondering what happens to the rest of Franklin? Well, here at Barbie Sparker, we believe in giving back. That's why for every pair of Barbie Sparker glasses ordered, we send 1 can of turtle soup to a Chinese homeless shelter of your choice.
Thanks, Barbie Sparker.
And thank you, Franklin.
I think everybody's gone.
Yeah, looks like everyone's gone in the back too. I'll get the snacks and stuff. Do you want to fire up the projector? Here you go. Brought you beverage.
Oh, well, thank you.
Corn.
Have you seen this one yet?
Yeah, I've seen it like 8 times, but find something new each viewing.
Cheers for that.
You're gonna like it.
At least what you do online is your business. Protect your business with ExpressVPN.
Well, that seems like a fun date/movie night. If you're not using ExpressVPN, it's like leaving your front door open, by the way. If you're not using any VPN, and I recommend ExpressVPN because they're the only VPN I know of as far as the major VPNs that didn't have any kind of a security breach without telling people. So it's the VPN that we use here to secure internet data. Just click one button on your computer or your smartphone. You are protected. So visit, please, my special link right now. It's expressvpn.com/Crowder. You get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN free. What you do online should be your own business, even as offensive, disgusting, or depraved it may be. I don't need to know. Just protect your internet today with the VPN that I trust we all use here at expressvpn.com/Crowder.
I kind of forgot all the other plot points of the movie.
It doesn't sound like a very good movie.
It's not really that good. Then I
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now what's going on here? Y'all breaking Mr. QBG's #1 rule.
What's that?
Social distancing.
Gee, we're sorry, QBG. We forgot to stand 6 feet apart, and I guess...
6 feet apart? What you talking about? You're standing too close to that Chinaman. It's called Chinese virus for a reason.
I don't know if...
Well, Mr. QBG knows. You need to keep your distance, and the Wu flu can't hurt you. There are many ways to spread the virus. We need every man, woman, and child working together to stop it. LouderWithCrowder.com/mugclub. I suggest it to you, your friends, and your family.
Orphanage ain't lit, but he ran away. Father was he gotta make a dead. No work, gonna like Mel here. Drink too much, guess they deserved it.
All right, very glad to have our next guests.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Spoiler alert. It has been a little while. They were supposed to be the finale on our CNN 4-hour live stream,
right.
but I went into my tirade against Chris Cuomo because, but here's the thing. I only target the strong because with Chris Cuomo, it doesn't happen by accident.
That's true.
Speaking of which, these next two guys would probably make Chris Cuomo look like a small child. Probably would cry like one too.
Peace Prance.
You can follow them on the Twitter at HodgeTwins, and they have a YouTube channel out. A few 100,000 subscribers, doing really well.
Yeah, doing good.
Conservative Twins, and it's the HodgeTwins on Facebook. So many twins. The HodgeTwins. Kevin and Keith, how are you, sirs?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. We're doing pretty good for some black guys.
I don't know. Why'd you have to go to the race thing right away? We are the world.
I'm a black supremacist.
Right. Hey, which remember, this is the first time I've seen you with a beard. Is this because of the quarantine, or I thought you guys couldn't grow facial hair?
I can. I'm just Muslim now.
You ditched your slave name and joined the Nation of Islam?
Yeah, I'm a black Muslim now.
Hey, I noticed this when I was in the drugstore, speaking of the racial thing. There's an entire line of products for black men facial hair, like for razor bump, bump away and stuff. That's a whole new world to me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, please do not laugh at my pain.
It's an ordeal.
You have to use that?
I was actually picking some out this morning. Yeah, I actually put on a coat of bump stopper this morning.
All right.
Since this whole COVID Kung Flu thing, all the bump fighters sold out.
Is it?
Black people are so evil, man. They just hoarded all this stuff. I go and offer up and let's go. There's the bump fighter.
Is that it's called Bump Fighter? Hey, look, guys. If you're good at selling a sponsor, don't do it for free. Don't mention the name, and then we'll approach Bump Fighter and set it up. So it's like a lacquer for black people with beards.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
That's a good bit. Yeah, I should be getting paid for this, huh?
You should be getting paid for this. Yeah, Bump Fighter. I mean, that's one hell of a sponsor. That's tier A on YouTube. You're in the premium category. It's Bump Fighter. It's just Carlton from Fresh Prince who's doing this in the mirror. And you're like, he's still, that Alfonso. I should have known you'd steal the job from under us, Alfonso. Is that his name, Alfonso? I have no idea. I was so disappointed when I found out that Carlton was actually Carlton in real life.
Yeah, he was not actually acting.
Yeah, you just hoped he was like a black Daniel Day-Lewis, and you realize he's a one note.
That's just him.
He's a one note actor, but he'll make a killing in Hallmark films. Okay, so before I want to talk about Ahmaud Arbery, because you guys released some videos on this, and I want to be clear for people who are out there. Watch the whole videos in context, right? So I know that this is a show, so I have to run a clip, but I encourage you to watch the full videos in context, because if you look at people who've covered the videos, they've taken them out of context, people get really mad. But if you look at the comments and the full videos, people go, oh, this is pretty balanced and objective. So that being said, here is a clip which may be offensive, but funny.
Hey, look, be honest, everybody. Just don't say nothing racist. So it's going to be racist. Look, just be honest, everybody. I mean, it's not racist. This is just what I observed in my lifetime. Okay. Be honest, everybody. Black or white or Asian, Hispanic, whatever. Think about this. When was the last time you seen a black man jogging in your neighborhood? I mean, playing basketball and football does not count. You take that ball away, you just kill that black man's motivation for jogging. Look, I've lived in white neighborhoods, I lived in black neighborhoods. The only time I've seen a black man jogging is when he's running from somebody. It was for life preservation. It wasn't to get his heart rate up. Hey, we don't swim either. I mean, I go to the gym, I see black people lifting weights and playing basketball. I've never seen a black man in the pool. I mean, jogging and swimming is not our thing. That's racist, but it's a good point.
I thought your gig at the Apollo was canceled to COVID, but I stand corrected. So let me be clear here. You guys got death threats for that?
Yeah. From a bunch of black folks.
Oh, of course.
And I mean, just to clarify, I mean, Ahmaud Arbery is in his early 20s. Black kids at that age, they don't, for exercise, they don't go jogging. They lift weights, they play ball. Yeah, I mean, just like black folks at his age, most of them hate country music. I mean, it's just an observation that we took. And I'm getting for that. Yeah.
That's because they listen to country music. Half the singers sound like you.
Young man's death because I said he was running down the street with a TV. I was joking towards the two white guys at first because I didn't have all the facts. Right. I was like, why did y'all stop him? Did you see him running down the street with a TV on his back? Yeah. That was a joke towards the white gentleman, not the black guy.
No, and I want to be really clear. That was very funny, and that wasn't about Ahmaud Arbery. If you watch it, you guys said, these are the facts that we know, and you laid out, and you even did an update when the video came out. And I have to be full disclosure here. You know, last week we were working on taping sketches, and we were working behind the scenes because we did the Mug Club quarantine month. So I shut off from news so that I can focus on some of the work that needs to come in. And it was hard for me to keep track or to get info when I was searching on this. So I want to be clear for people to know there's a joke, right? Separate from, and then you guys, I think we're pretty fair in covering the Ahmaud Arbery case. So let people know who don't exactly know, because it's hard for me, and this is how I make a living, to kind of navigate my way through it. What exactly happened here? Where are we now?
Well, from the beginning, I mean...
Don't be bashful now. The death threat genie's already out of the bottle.
Let me do some talking. Clearly, you can see him walking into the neighborhood. He stops, he looks around. No jogger does that. Yeah. Right? And then he sprints in somebody's house. Yeah. I don't know if a dog was after him or somebody called him the N-word, but from the video, it looks like he's casing the joint. He runs in the house. Right. He stays in there for 3 minutes. The neighbors see him, spook him. He takes off running. Yeah. I mean, you just don't. Somebody yell at you, just don't run it out of the house. Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they matched it up with the 911 tape. They attempt to arrest him. He actually charges a guy with a shotgun. At that point, you could either charge him with aggravated assault. Yeah. You could even charge him with strong arm robbery because he's trying to take possession of his shotgun. Yeah. And at that point in the video, it's a life or death struggle. Yeah. Because of his actions, because of the 3 felonies he just committed, they have every right to shoot and kill him. Yeah. Right. So that's all I tried to I still don't know who actually shot him. They said it was close range.
It was the shotgun. It was the shotgun.
Yeah, but we really don't know if the
gun went off by mistake
or anything.
Yeah, because it was just one shot.
Right. Well, the thing to me is this is a very unfortunate situation, right? All around. I want to say, but we don't have all of the information. Now, I will say this. Obviously, it would be better if the guy had not been shot. And obviously, if someone comes up with a shotgun, I understand it's natural to react and defend yourself. But something that changes that, which we don't know yet, did the guy who called the police, so they obviously don't, it doesn't seem like they were planning on shooting an unarmed black man if they call the police and say, hey, we're here, please go, take care of this, please follow this. It seems to me like maybe they approached him and said, what are you doing? Asked him some questions, and then he panicked and attacked them. Two different scenarios, okay? A guy who's maybe standing, social distancing, standing 6-7 feet with a shotgun aimed at the ground, like, hey man, we've had some break-ins here. What are you doing? You mind answering some questions? Right at that point, it'd be, okay, hold on, sorry, yeah, I was just jogging. Or if the guy approached him with a shotgun at point blank, like, what are you doing, boy? Then the guy has the right to defend himself. But we don't know that yet. And based on what I hear from the 911 call, could they be vigilantes, guys who are tough guys? Maybe. But we don't know. And that's what's so concerning to me is we don't know. And right away you go, well, we're going to have to fill in the blanks like Trayvon Martin and Brown. Or are we going to wait?
Yeah, I mean, personally, if I'm going to commit a hate crime, I'm not calling the cops.
Yeah.
So,
typically. Yeah. That's a good point. You distilled everything that I said. I was long-winded, and yours was far better.
And another thing, if I'm running, the media is saying that he was just jogging through a neighborhood trying to get some exercise. The only time I saw Ahmaud jogging was into the house and out of the house from a scene of a crime.
Yeah.
Right. That's not jogging.
I don't know if this is true or not, but they say it was 12 miles from his house. This guy's got to be in damn good shape if he jogged 12 miles to his house and he's fitting to jog back. That's a damn marathon. That explains why he was walking in the video. Maybe he was tired.
Right. Yes.
This story doesn't make sense. All the evidence that I see in this video, him stopping, looking around, sprinting in the house, and then being spooked and he takes off running. And the thing that still his fate in my book, and I don't see how anybody can defend this, when he runs around the truck, he could have kept straight running, but he decided to run into the McMichael's son and grab his shotgun. Yeah. He actually charged him. I mean, I hated that the young man lost his life, but come on.
Yeah, I will say that
a lot of mistakes.
In your video, you said that you would tell your sons that if ever they were approached with a gun and someone said, hey, we call the police, to wait for the police to try and de-escalate the situation. To play devil's advocate a little bit here, I will say, listen, there's information that we have that he didn't. We know that these guys called the cops, the father and son. I keep forgetting, it's like some McMichael's? Is that the name? Yeah. We know that they called the police officers. That being said, Ahmaud didn't. So there could be a scenario, for example, let's say it could be your son, it could be anybody, where someone says, hey, we've called the cops, stay where you are. And you could think, what if they're trying to kidnap me? I don't know that they've called the cops, and that could be a fight or flight response. So that's why I say we don't know as to whether the reaction was, it could have been appropriate. We know that they did call the cops, but he didn't know that at the time. So is that at all something that sort of comes into play here, that why would he trust they've called the cops?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. It's that's the only thing but I understand. Okay, look, white privilege check here. My friend Johnny, we used to do this after working construction. We would walk on the golf course in St. Lambert in Quebec, and we would spot the houses that were empty and had pools. And what we would do is we would hop the fence and cool off at the end of the day in a pool. Now, victimless trespassing, absolutely. But we predetermined that if someone came out, we would immediately be apologetic. And I'm so sorry. So now, again, if some guy comes out with a shotgun, what are you doing here? I'm not going to go, hold on, let me get my towel, and walk out and assault them. I'm going to say, I'm so sorry. I totally have no business being in your pool, but I'm hot and I'm poor. But if they come into the water right up with me with a spear gun, then I might fight for my life. So, that being said, looking back, probably not the best decision. That's it. I had nothing. I had no question for you. So what do you think we'll be seeing as this? Are you not hearing me?
He's in.
What? Oh my God. For crying out loud.
Oh no.
Are you still there? HodgeTwins? You can't hear me?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, that sucked. So, what happened? Did you
What just
did you
happened?
mute and forget to unmute?
What happened?
No, you were talking, then you were like, and we just like, what's going on?
Wait, how was I? Can you show me again? It's uncanny. So I just say that upon retrospect, it was a bad decision for me to make. What do you think we'll see as this sort of unfurls here, this case?
I think everybody's so biased. People like whoever's standing for Ahmaud, they're going to stand with him, even if these guys are found not guilty. I mean, I just think the situation could have been handled totally different. Yeah. I have a gun permit. I have a CCW. I use it to preserve life. I'm not out here trying to play Rambo and arrest people. Yeah. Right. The most I would have did in that situation, if I felt I had to do something, was to call the cops and maybe follow them until the cops show up to grab them. Yeah. That's the only thing I would have did. Yeah. I think that's how the situation should have been handled.
But there's this guy McMichael. He's a retired cop. He's no ordinary citizen, so he's arrested plenty of people. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to tell this man what to do in his own neighborhood. He's under law. He can make a citizen arrest. Personally, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah. Because whenever you confront a criminal or somebody just committed a crime or whatever, you don't know how they're going to react.
Yeah, it's one thing for a cop to stop somebody and get a reaction. Yeah. You don't have no uniform. You don't have no badge. Yeah. You may have scared the guy, and that's why he reacted the way he did. That's why I would have waited for the cops, somebody in uniform, to make the arrest.
But somebody reasonable, if I'd have went in somebody's house, I know I'm breaking the law. If I take off running and somebody gives chase, I'm going to stop. That's what a reasonable person would have done if they're scared. But I don't know what this man was thinking when he attacked the man. So I guess we just going to have to wait till the trial.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait. I think there are a couple of lessons that can be learned right now. For people watching, we're going to go to a web extended and talk fitness and quarantine in a little bit. I think the two lessons that I see from this before we have all the information is try and remove ego from the equation. Because we can see that we look at Trayvon, there's an ego thing there. If he didn't get on top of Zimmerman and punch him, Zimmerman's a dick. We know that now, but he'd be alive. If Mike Brown had gotten out of the street like Darren Wilson requested, instead of punching a cop to prove, he'd be alive right now. In this case, we don't know if it was ego driven, but I think for everyone out there, don't let ego make your decisions when you're in a pressure cooker, when you're in a volatile situation. And the other thing, I think, don't bring a firearm out of your holster. Don't ever bring it into the equation unless you understand that immediately escalates it, and there's a strong likelihood or a stronger likelihood that you might have to use it. I think everyone needs to follow that. Like if you're calling the cops, call the cops. Wait for the cops to come. Keep trailing the people. Let the cops do their job. Don't call the cops and then also show a gun, because you never know how someone's going to react, and I think that's understandable.
Right. I got one for you, Stephen. In all three of these situations, I got a good idea. Just don't hit anybody or attack anybody. All three of these men will be still alive.
That's a good point, too. Yeah. Generally, as a rule of thumb, don't violently assault anyone, period. So good. Right. I'll be sure to get your words of wisdom to Chris Cuomo. We'll see if he lets it absorb, maybe via osmosis. Okay, it is Conservative Twins on YouTube, the HodgeTwins on Facebook. For people who are watching this on YouTube, we're going to go to Web Extended exclusive to Mug Club. Stay tuned. Okay, so I've showed you how to make pour over, AeroPress, but some of you are saying, yeah, but I like my Keurig machine. I don't like you, and I don't want your money. But if you are married to a Keurig machine, I do have some hacks that will get the best out of it that you can. First thing is, of course, you need good coffee to start with. And there you have it, blackriflecoffee.com/Crowder. Enter in the promo code Crowder, you get 20% off. These cups typically have 11 grams of coffee, which will make all the difference in the world. I'm gonna weigh this for you so we can see. So you can see 11.2, I actually left some in there. It's closer to 12 grams with these Black Rifle cups. First thing I'm gonna do is run some hot water through this machine into my cup. Now, why does that help? A lot of these machines don't get hot enough, so running some hot water through it first will prime the mechanism. All right, now that it's ready, I'm going to put the round in, close it up tight. Now here's the tip. The biggest problem with these Keurig machines is that the water runs through too quickly with the coffee. It often runs through sometimes 45 seconds or a minute, and people think, oh, my coffee is so fast in the morning. Sure, but you're drinking shit. You are drinking shit. The good news is, I have a trick that'll help improve it. What I do is I hit brew for just enough time for it to saturate the coffee grounds, and once it starts to drip even a little bit, I'm going to stop it. You're going to see a little bit of a trickle. I'm going to let that saturate for a little bit of time. Now that it's been sitting for a little bit of time, I'm going to make 1 6-ounce cup, and now I'm going to hit brew. We've just eliminated the variables that typically make a really crappy cup of coffee for most of these. Namely, more coffee, it's fresh roasted from Black Rifle. You have 11 to 12 grams as opposed to 8 in most cups. The temperature is hot enough, and we've increased the contact time between the water and the coffee for something that is, it's all right. I am not a violent person, but I would kill all your children for a lot of these cigars.
Oh my God.
Can Steven really be trusted? Just say no to Steven Crowder and Mug Club. Paid for by momsagainstmugclub.com.
With Crowder Ranger Panties. Buy yours today at louderwithcrowdershop.com. That's called the Really Married to That Sears catalog JCPenney Christmas photo.
Oh, that was nice.
Even underwater.
Yeah. It's dedication.
With that different shades of gray background. You know what I'm talking about? Send it out. All you had to do is school pictures. You ever do that, school photos?
Yeah.
What a horrible experience that was, school pictures. Did I ever tell you they did that at our high school for graduation photos and they brought in like a makeup artist?
No. For kids?
Well, high school.
Right, so
senior
like,
year.
18s?
By the way, extended interview, of course, with HodgeTwins will be available for those who are Mug Club members. We start Good Morning Mug Club next week, and we will be in the Michigan
Monday.
next Friday with a peaceful, legal protest to reopen the economy.
That's true.
Yeah, they brought in makeup for my senior year picture. And the worst part about
Just
it is...
for you.
No.
Okay.
No.
They're like, oh, you're
That's
going to need
almost the opposite of the direction of this story, which is why it was just shattering to my self-confidence, because you have to stand in line and watch them, doll up everybody else.
Right. Sure.
And you see like, oh, that's someone three people up. She's getting about 10 minutes. Oh, okay, that's Mr. Springer. He's getting about, 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then I went and I just had, horrible like pizza, like acne. And she clearly just like looked at me and went, and just grabbed what do you call it, powder puff? Those things, powder. But I noticed it with everyone else had like spray and brushes
there was multiple layers
and lip
of
gloss.
things,
With me, it was just like powder. Like, done. Just gave up.
Wait, snap.
Yeah, just gave up. And I don't think to this day that it's available anywhere else. Now watch, someone's going to go pull it. It's disgusting. I was very gross. It's a wonder that I don't have pockmarks worse than the Best Friend in Truman Show.
Only Olin Mills knows.
Is that his name? I have no idea. Thank you guys. It was fun. Glad being back. And I wanted to talk with you guys about something a little bit. Let me sort of preface this because I did ask him and he said it was okay to talk about our meeting. I did actually make the trip to Leelanau County, Michigan. We talked about the sheriff a long time ago. Not a long time ago. It feels like a long time ago. A few weeks ago. I believe his name is pronounced Borkovich. Sheriff. He was horrible. His parents hated him. His parents named him Sheriff.
Very sad.
They wanted every single conversation to start with Sheriff.
Sheriff? How do you spell that? Can you spell that for me?
Sheriff Borkovich there in Leelanau County. I made the trip out there because I know he had caught a lot of flack. He was the one in the media who said that he wasn't going to enforce the unconstitutional portions of Governor Whitmer's orders. Now, I want to be clear. We were sitting more than 6 feet apart. We both had masks on, practicing social distancing. Of course he supports that, and he's talked about that with his statements. What he showed me were all of these letters from people before he issued his statement, like, hey, I'm a perch fisherman, and am I going to get arrested because I have a motor on my boat? Or, hey, you know what, I'm going to this park and I want to make sure that I'm not arrested because I have an anniversary with my wife, because people are getting fined and arrested. And what he was saying was, listen, I'm not going to do that. I don't have the authority to do that as a sheriff, but I will break it up. I will break it up, and I will tell you to be sensible, but I'm not going to put you in cuffs. I'm not going to give you a fine. And that was blown out of proportion, of course, misinterpreted. So had a long conversation with this guy, really accomplished guy too, really just a sweet guy, and people there, love him in that county. And we were talking about anxiety. So he mentioned this because, he works with a lot of veterans. And he said, I see a lot of these young people, especially now in Michigan, who are smoking dope, and they need it because of the excuse they always use is anxiety. That's because, the legalization in Michigan now, and there's all this zoning, and they're calling it the cannabis lottery. And he said, I don't know if he mentioned his brother or his friend. He said, my grandfather came back from World War II missing a leg, and he didn't have, you don't think he had anxiety? He said, I had a friend from Vietnam who came back and was missing an eye. And so don't talk to me about anxiety, referring to millennials. And I said, you know what, hold on a second, let me posit something for a minute. And we ultimately came to more of an understanding. I think people need to understand that, I think a lot of millennials out there, I think a lot of young people do suffer from anxiety. And I do think that they can have anxiety that is worse than people from the greatest generation, people who were out there in World War II. And let me explain to you why. And this is why I think we're seeing a lot of it with coronavirus, right? You really shouldn't be that anxious if you believe that it's a period of 2 months, or even if it's a period of a year, and things will go back to normal and basically stay home and collect a check. That shouldn't be super anxiety inducing. Certainly not as anxiety inducing as storming the beaches of Normandy. But you know what I see, and I get a lot of letters from you guys and girls out there, and gals, guys and gals. You got the horse right here. Don't let me get into Ethel Merman. Love the Merm. Anxiety is often a symptom of purposelessness. That's what makes people anxious. And I tell you, that's why a lot of business owners themselves are very anxious, because you don't have someone telling you what to do. You have to make up what it is to do. I know, Audio Ed, you said during the Mug Club quarantine month, you would often be so tired sometimes at the end of the day because you would have to have all these conversations and direct people, and didn't always have as much to show for it physically.
Sure. Yeah.
You're like, well, I didn't write these jokes, or but I had to make sure that these trains ran on time.
Sure. Yeah.
And that can create a lot of anxiety for people, because wrongfully so in that case. I mean, sometimes people feel like, well, I haven't accomplished anything. But you see that with a lot of young people with this. They're going out into the world, and yeah, sure, I think it's valid. I think rather than just dismissing millennials, a lot of people do this. I think it's wrong to say, okay, boomer. And the only reason people say, okay, boomer, is because really you have a generation that was flower power hippies sticking daisies in rifles, and now they elected Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. So they're mad at boomers. They're mad at the hippies because they want to be San Francisco retreads today. So let's be really clear. I hate the okay boomer thing, but I also hate it when people just dismiss millennials as, oh, they're entitled. What do they have to be anxious about? Well, they have a few things to be anxious about on a very observable level, right? They are going out into a far more crowded, more competitive workspace. But to get more specific, I hear this a lot where they say, when I grew up, we didn't have these phones, we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have all this access to technology, and we had to go off to war. Do I think that a millennial who's leaving college with a gender studies degree, or with a liberal arts degree, or with a creative arts degree, or German poetry, or underwater basket weaving, take your pick, do I think that them leaving college today, living at home, not gainfully employed, is it possible that they are more anxious than the 16-year-old who was drafted fighting in World War II? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, that's not to say that their task or their life is any more important. No. In fact, the exact opposite. And that's what I think people are missing. We think we're trying to solve this problem of anxiety is a symptom of purposelessness. People are anxious right now because they're floundering. They're not going to work. They don't have anything to do. You often think, man, if I didn't have to work, I'd be able to stay home and sit on the couch and watch TV. That's fun for a couple of days. And then that anxiety, that worthlessness comes into effect because human beings were made to work. Human beings were made to fulfill a purpose. Let me ask you this. Do you think that when someone, for example, was in a foxhole, World War II, out there, take your pick, somewhere across Europe, right, with the fighting the Axis there in our campaign, do you think they were sitting there going like, oh, man, I just don't know if what I'm doing is what I'm doing is making an impact. No, you knew what you had to do. Is it scary? Sure. Is it terrifying? Absolutely. My grandfather-in-law was a bombardier in World War II. I watched people cry at his funeral who were soldiers folding up the flag. They're not supposed to. It was that powerful. But those people knew what they were doing. They knew what they were trying to accomplish. There were a lot of Americans that were referred to as playboys, right? Non-interventionists. Then Pearl Harbor happened, and all right, now you got to deal with some shit. Japan and Germany, so they knew this is a righteous fight. I may lose my life, but I'm doing it for a valid reason. And I think a lot of people misinterpret this where they go, oh my gosh, the higher the danger, the higher the risk, the more anxiety. No, not necessarily, because a portion of that equation is purpose. And if you know that, hey, there's a chance you might lose your life here, but it's because you're trying to stop the greatest evil that's ever happened in humanity from marching across the rest of Europe and then finally making it across the pond, well, guess what? You're willing to pay that price. And it's not anxiety because you don't know what's coming next. It's anxiety because, you know what, you've accepted what's coming next. And it's anxiety because you want to make sure that the people you love back home are provided for. That's very different from, I'm anxious because I don't know what to do. And that's a problem that we need to solve. And that's why I see people like Jocko, and sometimes this show when we do the life advice seems to help people, because coddling folks, making sure they don't have a big red marker on any test, that doesn't make people more confident. What it does is it ill prepares them for the real world. Think about this. We had a generation. Let's look at the greatest generation. That's what we call them, World War II. We had people who went to school, right? They were doing basic math. They were doing basic English. They were reading the classics. Many of them weren't doing advanced trigonometry. Many of them didn't go to college. And then they would go to war, a lot of them. And then they would work in the same job until they retired at the age of 65, right? And most things were made in America. They knew that there was an opportunity for them. Now, in this scenario, we have kids who are going to school becoming totally ill-equipped for the real world. Back then, they allowed corporal punishment. A kid could go to school, get beaten with a switch from his teacher, and the teacher had the full authority to bring out the paddle at any point that they wanted. A teacher could yank on their ear. They had a really tough go. There were no anti-bullying campaigns, and that toughened them up for the world. Now we have kids going to school who live in safe spaces, who aren't challenged, who aren't at all dealing with any kind of adversity. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And then they go out into a world that doesn't have the security that our fathers, that our grandfathers had. No one in our age. Did you ever leave school thinking that you were going to have a job with benefits, pension, retirement package until age 65? No, you jump around. That's most people our age because you have to. And so we have people less equipped going into a world that's going to treat them more harshly. Whereas at one point we had school equipping people by dealing with them more harshly so that they went into a world more equipped. And I say this because, listen, I know a lot of folks out there, sometimes you're trying to fix this problem there where you feel anxious, where you feel like, oh, you're on edge and you don't know what to do. And I see a lot of times people go like, oh, yeah, I'm just so tense. I'm just so edgy, but I don't want to put any more on my plate because I don't think I could handle it. No, you're edgy and anxious precisely because you've got an empty plate, son. So what do I want you to do here? I want you to consider first, everyone else out there who's saying millennials, they have no reason to be anxious. Actually, they have a lot of reasons to be anxious, unfortunately. And that's because a lot of us have failed them. Now, if you're one of those people who find yourself anxious and you're not in the greatest war ever, well, that would be the First World War, so I know someone's going to call me on that, but one of the most violent, certainly intimidating wars of all time, but you find yourself anxious, I want you to ask yourself, what do you have on your plate? Why is it, ask yourself, why is it that your great-grandfather who killed 50 men wasn't as anxious as you are when he was in a pressure cooker? What is it that's missing there that's making you anxious where you don't know what's coming around the corner? What fight have you not picked? I don't mean this in a violent way. Let's start with this. If you feel anxious and it's not because you're overworked, it's not because you're overburdened, and a lot of people feel that way right now with coronavirus, COVID-19 in their home, right? They're home and they don't have anything that they can do. Fill up your plate. Pick a fight. Pick something. Pick any fight. Find something that is worthwhile for you to get in the trenches over and go do it. And you know what? Sometimes if you're in the trenches, if you're in the heat of it, you don't have time to think about how anxious you are because you're making sure that you're not making the next mistake. that you're taking the right steps. So again, if you find yourself going, I just feel so anxious, I feel empty, maybe it's because you're overworked and you need some rest. There are some people, but for a lot of you, it's because you are looking at a completely empty plate and you're wondering, what's going to be put on there? No one's going to put anything on your plate. You have to start yourself. Find something that is worth your time, worth putting your energy into, worth being your outlet for your anxiety, to accomplish something that will help others and serve others in the world. This is a good time to figure it out because you've got a lot of alone time. I don't want to see you playing Great Escape. Steve McQueen throwing that ball against the wall in solitary. I want you to take this time rather than look back upon it as a waste of time and go, oh, that's where I replaced anxiety with purposefulness. And the results may surprise you. All right, I will see you next week. Good Morning Mug Club, Monday, live at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then the state capitol, Friday. Oh my gosh.
It only takes a time.
Immensely strong, this cause it my head. Jolly Ludler, rather shit. Strong, this cause it very drunk. Beautiful song. Beautiful song. And it's beautiful song. Song. Sul,